And out of nowhere, Cyber Dragons and Abyss Actor shake up an entire metagame. Don't beg the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We have, well, your breakdown here for the Gamoyon Cup, and this actually is pretty interesting. We actually have branded in terms of the top cut representation for this winning the event, but second place is the part that caught me off guard. We actually have Cyber Dragons shaking things up here, and to be honest with you, I haven't seen Cyber Dragons show up anytime recently, so to see that this monster just came out of left field and smashed down this event, locking down second place, is pretty interesting. We also had Purely coming in to third place here, pretty standard competition here, and then we had Abyss Actor following it up here as well. Where did these rogue competitors come from mixing into this metagame? That's actually what you really want to see here. Let's pass on over to top decks here. All right, winning your event here is your standard Despia take here, but this one, a little bit of interesting things here. We have the Fleur-de-Lis in here. Haven't really seen that, obviously, with the buy-steal numbers and the huge limitations that this engine has on it. The deck kind of has to adjust and try to play things out. I also see we're playing a dimensional barrier down here as well, so we can actually thrust into it depending on the off, chance of the format and how things have kind of shaped up for what we need to see here. Truthfully, looking at the rest of this, I mean, a lot of these variations with the limits of the deck you do got to be a little bit aware of how things are going. I mean, between the branded open, between the branded fusion, and the limitations that they have on those cards, you do have to make, I would say, some more suboptimal deck building choices. It is apparent that this build is a lot weaker than the TCG version, but it definitely has maintained a little bit of a strong suit in their metagame. So that's actually kind of interesting to see. Here is the thing that caught me off guard. Cyber Dragons. Out of nowhere, this deck showed up and said, you know what, we're going to be a challenger to the metagame. I also forgot that this deck can have access to Chaos Angel, if you want my honest opinion. I can't tell you, ever since Chaos Angel's inception, I should have been aware that every generic Light and Dark deck can do it, but, you just don't really think about it. Tuning a Cyber Dragon to a Cyber Dragon to make a Chaos Angel, just... yeah, that's a thing you can do, especially after the machine duplication. See that we are playing Raigekis and Lightning Storms in here, so you'll kind of have like your generic cleanup-esque cards so that you can still kind of play the game. The Herald of the Abyss to clean up the pesky Nor, and trust me when I say this, Nor has been a huge annoyance in the format as of late. It definitely has turned into one of those things that you need to really give some consideration for cleaning out. Next up here we have, well, yeah, we're playing Rainbow Bridge of Salvation so that we can search for the field spell for Purely. Out of all of the Purely variants that we've seen here, all of the ideas that this deck has been through, I can't say that I'm not surprised to see that the Rainbow Bridge stuff finally took off. The thing that interests me most here, though, is we don't have any Foolish Burial Goods in the main deck. Why are we not playing Foolish Burial Goods? I guess the logic here is if you draw it, you discard it, then you get the value. But I feel like I would still want a Foolish Burial Goods or two to drop to toggle in order to do the thing. But I guess the whole logic is, you draw it, you can banish it, set up, do your thing. But that just... it's a lot of bricks just for the inclusion of that. And trust me, my luck, I'm going to draw the Cobalt Eagle every single game if I'm playing this variant of the deck. And then we also had Abyss Actors here. Now, what is very, very interesting to me here is, one, Abyss Actors finally doing something here. You can thank, usually the Link 1 and the Link 2 for putting this deck on the map, but to see that this just kind of came out of left field here, I think is by far the most interesting thing. I don't really know how Abyss Actor aims to kind of handle a lot of the modern era problems that have kind of been developed in terms of the format. But it looks like, we have Kaijus here, we have Psalms, you have a lot of the same well-rounded things that you've seen, and holy moly, hand traps in this build. This deck is hand trapped out of its mind here in order to kind of counteract as much of the more problematic things that have developed in terms of the format here. So that's very, very interesting to say the least here. Now we have some more tournament results over here. Now this tournament's going to paint a little bit different of a picture here for what you're actually used to seeing. The most represented deck here was actually Vice's Brigade. Now this is going to be the Vice's Starfrost Elemental Hero Prism shenanigans that you kind of have seen with, you know, Prisma dropping Vices, and then you're going to try to get to Vice's Stroud, so that you kind of have like this power monster set up so that you can attempt to play the game with it. We haven't really seen a lot of builds try that particular strategy out as of late. It was very big a little bit ago, but it looks like more and more players have kind of revisited this option tree as of late, and they're trying out some different ideas with it, which I will say is kind of good. We also had follow-up here with Sword Soul in Purely. I mean, you shouldn't be any stranger to knowing that Purely has been one of the more dominating forces as of late in the OCG, so very, very interesting. All right, we're going to pass on over to these top deck lists. This is by far one of the weirdest Sword Soul variants in terms of developments that I have seen here. This build is playing the level 6 that kind of acts as like a little bit of more of an annoyance, but I mean an easier level 6 hand trap. See, we're also playing the level 4 Monk in here as well. The Monk has not seen hardly any play since it was actually given birth to by Konami, which is kind of a shame, but I mean, it has more synergy, I feel like, with Fallen of Albaz than anything else. No, look at these like one-ups. You have the Birth, 2 Cosmic, Cross Out, Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Chalice and Lance, Book of Moon, and Talents all are like some of these one-ups in here. I don't know if it was just like their deck building that they wanted to do for this particular event, but those ratios feel extremely weird to me. But once again, it did work out. They did lock down the win for the event, and that's really kind of saying something overall. So I do like what we're seeing here for that. Next up here is Vice's Brigade, which is you're going to be using your Tri-Brigade cards with Vices to kind of capitalize, drop off, you know, a Vices, go into the link 1, go ahead and then toggle down so you can essentially start up. Because remember, the Scareclaw link 1 only requires a Vices Starfrost in order to kind of get going here. So players do kind of use that advantage. Also, it is technically Beast support. Yeah, that's right. When you have Beast Warrior synergy kind of reverse built into your deck, why would you not consider taking advantage of that? I see that we are siding some Kaijus down here. We have some Droll Lockbirds, some Exceed Encores as well. And of course, good old Hero Lives here, being one of the power cards that we're kind of very familiar with as of late, stepping through here and actually assisting us out. Kind of looking at the rest of this here, I don't see anything else really too off-putting for this list. Next up here is Purely, main deck in the Herald of Abyss. Oh boy, first of all, Herald of Abyss is absolutely an amazing card. Getting to out the Nor on the spot removal functionality is actually insane. I think a lot of people definitely underestimate how good specific spot removal can actually be right now. And the fact that we have kind of noticed this gaining a lot more value is really, really good. Keep in mind that also Vanity's Fiend down here. The fact that you can make Vanity's Fiend in this deck and then laugh at your opponent is very, very hilarious, I still think, at this stage. Most of the rest of the Purely deck, Santa Claus has definitely started to show up more and more as a side deck option as well. Outside of that, a lot of the same standard options. The Dimensional Barrier is kind of interesting to be able to thrust into for like a defensive option. But yeah, the rest of this looks very, very straightforward. And the last as we actually have here is another version of the Prisma Magic. Oh boy. So 2 of these versions made it through here, but this one is a little bit more of a reduced package. You're still going to step into Prisma, drop off Vices, and then, you know, start Scareclaw full combo in the same functional way that we'd seen on the previous list. It's just made a Hero Lives even more crazy at this stage. Overall, I don't see anything else too crazy about this. The list feels very, very strong still to this day, but you can see a lot of the diversity and things that are kind of starting to show up here. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.